Hey, welcome to the Toolshed. We're glad you stopped by. I'm hanging out with my buddy Eddie McFarlane. Say hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good top of the morning to you.
Aye.
Hey, the Toolshed. This is a one-of-a-kind Toolshed, and this is a place like our friends stop by. They comment, they engage, they hang out with us.
Love it.
And it's really a place where we can make every job just a little bit easier. And you can sharpen all the tools in the tool bag, especially the mind. Yeah. Right? This one-of-a-kind tool shed is brought to you by Schedule Engine. If you don't know about Schedule Engine, you should check it out. And this episode, which I'm super excited about, I've had coffee again, is brought to you by our good friends over at Emerson. Today's going to be a fun one.
It's a doozy, and Jerry is so excited because this is absolutely in your wheelhouse. This is probably the thing you get asked most about, and it's all about training. And we're calling it sort of like this training tips for the champions, right? Because remember, last season was spring training. This season's about the huddle and champions train, and they have a plan and all of these things and the trades and for our blue collar brothers and sisters, there's a lot of questions. So whether today you're just an individual technician and you're like want to do all that stuff we've been talking about and take control of what you can control in your career, or you're a people leader and you're just trying to build people and grow a great team and do the right thing. We're hopefully going to have some stuff to share with you today so that, the Toolshed job gets a little bit easier. So
hey, when can I throw in the Nursery of Talent?
You can do that now. Go for it.
Man, that is such a good thing. Like, think about this: as your team is like a nursery, not like kids, but for plants. And so if you were going to go buy some plants for your home, you'd pick out some good ones, right? And then you would take the time to put them in the ground, and you would fertilize them, and you would take care of them, and you would water them, and you would watch them grow up, and like your whole team is like a nursery of talent. Sometimes you got to trim them up a little bit.
That's right.
But hey, you can share them with people and you share them with your friends, like all good.
I think I know why all my plants are dead at the house. We'll need to talk afterwards. But no, it's a great analogy. As our friend Christian talks about, that's his leadership view. He's like, man, it's just a nursery for talent. And Jerry and I were both fortunate to be the recipients of that knowledge bomb. And like we do, we're just passing it on because that's who we are.
What we do.
Hey, It's week 5 already, Jerry.
I know. Oh, cool, huh? We're having so much fun.
And so let's quick before we go into the giveaways. Big shout out. I want to give a huge shout out to the Hero Heating and Air Conditioning in South Carolina. Big fans of what they're doing. They're sharing their journey so openly, like especially in the Facebook groups. Big contributors, not just to the Toolshed, but they're these entrepreneurs, and they're sharing their journey. And you can do that with today's connection points, and also to our friends at Clay's Climate Control, big Schedule Engine fans, and so welcome them. We know their team. They're a nursery for talent. They get it. They think. Yeah. They've got that legacy mindset, right? That infinite game that we're going to talk about. So they're doing well. So shout out to those guys. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Say hello in the group, and let's talk giveaways.
Before we do that, hey, I just found out yesterday that our friends at Hero Heating and Cooling, they're at Clemson fans.
What are the odds?
I know. Like,
you guys have nothing in common.
I know. I like them even more now.
I saw them take that trip. I was like, uh-oh. All fans are welcome.
Go Tigers.
We're glad you're here. So the Toolshed, the place you come to grab a tool, make every job easier, whether it's communication or what. But we're going to give away an actual tool, and today I'm pretty pumped about the prize because it's a set of Knipex pump pliers. See what I did there?
Yeah, wow. Yeah, you worked on that, didn't you?
Dad joke, level 5 unlocked. Okay, so listen, 3 ways to win. We write this ourselves. People probably can't tell. Three ways to win. Join the group, refer someone to the group, engage, start a conversation, ask a question, answer questions, say hello, we're lonely, hello. Get in the group and help elevate the trades, be positive, and shine a light on the secret. And the trades have the secret. So, yeah, cool. We're having way too much fun this morning. We're going to ratchet that back to like a 7. All right, next up, we have, speaking of fun, our apprentice tip of the week. HVAC Jess, if you haven't checked her out by now, you'll know I talk about it every week. She's got a great Instagram channel. She shares her day, the different kinds of jobs she does. She works on great, everything from mini splits to refrigerator systems in supermarkets and everything in between, big plant rooms. It's really interesting, but she shares very honestly about her apprentice. So whether you're starting your career at any age or you're in the apprentice step, always valuable and good advice from Jess. Let's roll.
Oh, hi, Toolshedders. I'm HVAC Jess, bringing you the apprentice tip of the week. You know that saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know? Okay, well, in the trades, you need to know what. But for my apprenticeship, I have found it so beneficial to make friends with tradespeople. Not only in my own industry, my own trade, where I can, have a shoulder to cry on or someone to just ask some advice, but other trades as well. The cross-trades relationships and communication, I think, is instrumental to our future. And it's so awesome these days that we have platforms to find friends like social media. For me, Instagram is my jam, and I've built this really awesome, inclusive, supportive trades community that I can send someone a message and just kind of ask for some advice. Like, have you seen this before? What would you do with this? So today's apprentice tip is make more friends.
Love
That's
it.
awesome.
She, again, every week it's the apprentice tip of the week, but I always feel like even I've been in the trades 20 years and I always find myself taking notes. It's funny, I've actually seen one of her posts where she was on a job and because she's authentic, it's like, hey, if anybody's worked on one of these, I'm getting an error code. And, she's got thousands of followers and she's built her tribe. And I think one of the things that I like that she references there, a lot of what we do on our own. We have team meetings, we have huddles, but as Jerry says, we go off and play the game. And it can be, you're on your own most of the day. And so these connections are really good for our knowledge base, but they're good for our mental health. And sometimes it's good, you just need to let a little steam off with a colleague or whatever, right?
Well, for me, it was a game changer for me when I started reaching out to people in the industry, and and I got on LinkedIn and I built a little community and I went to conferences. I met this guy at a conference.
That's right. They wouldn't let me in, and Jerry held the door for me.
And it's been a game changer for me because I've learned so much. And it wasn't about hey, what can I learn from these people? It was like, hey, what can I give to these people? Right. And then they started giving stuff to me, and it was awesome. Still is.
That's right. A rising tide lifts all boats. So get engaged. Be part of the solution, be part of the conversation. That's why we created the Toolshed. It's so that we have a positive, intentional space to elevate the best of the trades and the place to make every job easier. So well done, Jess. Give her a follow. Right. It's time to get your smiler warmed up because we're going to the memes.
Yay!
All right, let's your smiler is Scottish for mouth. That's not true. All right, let's look at that first one. All right, technically they did install this so you could close the door. I can't tell if this is genius level. I think it's hack level. I think it is. I think it's pretty hacky. But I guess if we're looking for a bright side, Jerry, you could clean the drain easily enough. Can you install that in that closet?
Y'all use that door much?
Hey, wait till you see what we've done. I think you're going to really like it. It's going to be super quiet because you're going to be able to close the door. Really? I didn't think you'd have room. Wait till you see. All right. Let's get rid of that. Next. Okay, so that's definitely... Right now, there's some service techs and installers sort of looking at each other right now. It's Friday afternoon, you're off to the lake, and you see the on-call guy driving down the highway. You're like, please don't be me. Please don't be me. Shout out to all the lonely heroes taking care
That's awesome.
and watching our backs. We love you, and remember, we're all in this together.
I think that's from the Umbrella Academy.
It might
Yeah,
be.
good show.
It might be.
Yeah.
All right, next. Oh, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Yeah, if you just hit the reset button and roll, you're
You kind of do that when you're like a teenage boy. Like you break things and then you just put it right back in
You're
place,
like, "Hey,
and then mom's gonna think she broke that lamp.
So that's okay if you're 8. If you're the on-call tech, don't do
Don't do that. That's right.
And don't take joy in it. All right. Lastly, this one's for roofers. A little weekend job I did. What do you think of my patch job?
Hey,
No, I did not do that.
John
but,
O'Leary just fell out of
that's
his,
right.
his
He wants
chair
the
in
address.
his office.
That's a hot lead. That's what roofers, it's like
Is that in
that.
Pennsylvania?
It's like that sign where like the $5 haircut store opens up and then the barber across the street says, "We fix $5 haircuts."
Oh, yeah,
$10.
absolutely.
Right. That's a roofer's delight. All right. Moral of the story is do good work.
Do good work.
All right. So safety, it's all fun and games here at the Toolshed, but we do want to make sure that you're working safe and being good humans, as our friend Reefer Guy says. Check him out on the gram. Today I want to talk about a common thing I see, and it's sort of similar to eyewear. I actually think we've gotten a lot further with this than we have in the past, and it's gloves. And the reason I want to talk about it is, there's many of us will go through a career and never have to wear a fallen harness, and maybe we work in a situation we'll never have to deal with a ladder, and we work at a company where they always send 2 people and there's no lift hazard. But I personally know, and I'm sure you have, techs that they get their fingers sliced, sheet metal. I've known a few people's tops of their fingers get degloved, and that's nothing to do with a glove.
Splinters.
It was
get you
it was
a lot.
it was in a belt, and not good day. And here's the thing: we literally make our money by having a healthy body and 2 good hands. And we want you to have a long, healthy career, and we don't want your family getting leftovers. But there's so many tendons, and we take like thumbs, for example. We grip strength. We take it for granted, and super easy. One lapse in conversation, concentration can really have long-term impact. And just go ahead and wear the gloves. They've come a long way. I know at Haller, for example, they have a safety committee of employees. They bring a sample in of gloves, and they make them available. And if you're in charge of the safety, your team, don't be stingy with the gloves. Hand them out. Trust me. I know it may feel like they're just going through them, but it's better than dealing with the loss of a person in the schedule for a period of time or worse. So I take care, wear gloves, avoid splinters, laceration, stitches, and much worse. So work safe, be good humans, as my buddy Mike says. Cool.
You were probably on that safety committee, were you?
No, I don't think I was safety material. There was a lot of serious dudes. You know what I loved about that safety committee? It was a no-blame thing, and it's a place where these people, they represent all the trades, they represent all the different departments, and everybody knew who their safety rep was. It's a great idea if you've got a team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes people don't feel comfortable coming to you about some things, and creating that culture of safety is no accident.
If the glove does not fit, you must have quit. Did you try that?
We are not going. That's why we're in the tool shed and not in the safety committee. All right, let's talk about stuff we are good at.
Okay, let's talk about training.
Yeah, so
that's my jam. As Jess says.
That is your jam and your marmalade. We talked about how we met, but how did you get into training? What's the headline there?
Yeah, so the headline really is like, I got into the trades, I was 32 years old. So I had like a quarter life crisis. And when I got into it, I got right into sales. And that first manager of mine said, "Hey, I'm going to teach you everything, but not everything." And I think I kind of decided right then that one day, like if I ever like know some stuff,
Yep.
I'm going to share it.
Right.
And so I think I always wanted to be a trainer, like inside of me, because of that one moment.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. But man, like after we do the Toolshed, I'm super like pumped up all day long. I can teach a class with 50 technicians
Yep.
for 6 hours
Yep.
and have all kinds of energy at the end of the day. And so I kind of know like
That's your jam.
it's my jam.
Yeah, man. You know what they say: if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And I think that's a home run for you.
Yeah.
So one of the things I get asked about in the group and people message me, it's let's think of it in two ways. There's the individual technician, and then maybe you're a team lead, supervisor, owner, whatever, and you've got responsibility for the team. On an individual, we talk a lot about taking control. So like there's certain things I think about that you can do for yourself or your team. Certainly communication training, upskilling, cross-training, some other things. But when you think of communication training, well, what advice or what thoughts do you have on how do you do that as an individual? How did you get good at communication?
You know, I listen to a lot of people. I really got into podcasts.
Okay.
And so I listen to a lot of podcasts. Yep. I've read all the books that I deem like somebody said, you should read this book. I'd just try it. Sometimes I'd read half of it and get bored.
Yep.
And Eddie will send me a book sometimes, and it might take me a minute to start, but I'll read it. And then like I just figured out, like, you know, there's like they talk about the 3 Ps, you know, in business. You know, you got people and you got processes and you got product.
Okay.
And product was never really my thing.
Right.
I'm not that guy. And processes, like I love processes, but I'm like the people section of that.
Yep.
And so like I just try to show people like you can be a really good technician and make a great living and have a long career.
Yep.
You can be a really good technician that knows how to communicate with people and change your career and do other things in the industry and have a better performance with the customer and make
your job easier.
Twice as much money if you know how to communicate.
You're a big believer that it's not just about knowing this stuff. It's really that ability to communicate. What is don't rush past the person to make love to the air conditioner. That's your whole thing, right?
Right.
So what I hear you saying is you went out and found the information. You didn't wait for. I'm sure you've been at companies where they've sent you to stuff, but you also went out and you didn't just do books. You did a podcast. I'm old enough to remember books on cassette or like Nightingale, Conan, or Earl Nightingale.
Zig Ziglar's who I started with.
Huge Zig Ziglar.
I was in middle school.
Whoa.
When I listened to that.
Zig Ziglar was probably like 12 then.
Yeah, well, you know.
No, if you don't know who Zig Ziglar is, he's the original sort of
OG.
He's just there's literally nothing that he says that will steer you wrong. So do that. I think so communication, and then obviously you learn that stuff, but then you put it into practice, and that's something you can do.
That's the catch. Like I think I was in a training. I was a salesperson with about 30 salespeople.
Yeah.
And I literally was in a meeting one time, and I heard somebody up front say something that was like really, really good in how do you communicate with a customer. And I said, hey, can I borrow a piece of paper?
Right on.
And then I wrote that down, and then for like the next 10 days, I said that exact same thing, and it worked.
What are the odds?
It worked. And I was like, huh.
It's almost like that's the point.
Yeah, and so sometimes I would try it and it wouldn't be really good, but I didn't get discouraged because like success leaves crumbs. And the guy at the front of the room, he was pretty successful, and if I do what that guy does, I can get what that guy has and be similar.
So there's 3 things I want to point out. Like, to this day, you carry a notepad and pen all the time, right? Like that. So you have to take the information in. You have to be the good book says, be not just a hearer of the word, but a doer, right? So you have to actually. It's one thing to like take everything in, but like if you want the fruit, you have to look after the tree. You have to go, right? And you have to put it into practice. The number of times I'll be at a conference, and it's maybe cost between flight, hotels, and conference $3, $4, $5 grand for that person, and they sit through and they go, that was great, but that'd never work for me. Or they
Not in our
sit
market.
and they go,
that won't work in our
understand,
market.
like because only certain markets have bad customers,
Yeah.
only certain markets have credit, or you know. And so I think what you said that I think is really important, and if you're an individual technician looking to go over that plateau, don't get discouraged. I've seen, you know, and we've probably been there. I know in the early days of doing some training, you have a really good time and people are energized. But then they go out and the first time that customer it doesn't quite go like it did in the training room, because that's real. Like in a training room, say this and the customer will say that, and like, you know, that's not real life. We get that, but it's about the law of large numbers. And if you try something often enough, and I think sometimes technicians, tradespeople, they try and do it. It doesn't work that first time, or maybe even that second, and they go, well, that was BS. That doesn't work. And not only do they stop trying that, it kind of jades them a little bit to learn them more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
for me, it was like, and for a lot of people, it's really about fear and stepping outside of your comfort zone. And what I learned was like, once I started really learning how to communicate with customers and other teammates and things like that, like the more I pushed that envelope, the more I got comfortable with it, and my comfort zone got a lot bigger. And so I was never afraid to just like talk to a customer about like the hard stuff.
Yeah.
Because like we needed to have that conversation, and they were okay with it once I was okay with it. But for most people, they try it, it doesn't work, they give up. And that's like, you know, a New Year's resolution on January the 18th.
January 21st, the gym's empty, right?
Yeah.
So like the last thing I'll say about communication is one of the biggest rewards for me. I mean, as a young person, and probably longer than I should have, my communication style was like 7 golden retrievers chasing a flashlight, right? Like they're like, what? And it wasn't good, and I needed to work on it. And the biggest reward for me about doing that, because remember we talked about things becoming authentic, was the reward I saw in my personal relationships.
Oh yeah.
Because, you know, everything you want is outside your comfort zone right now. All the big stuff that you're looking for, right? You already know it. You've got what you've got, but if you want to get what you've never had, you got to do what you've never done. So you got to get out of that comfort zone, and that's a muscle, right? Like you can exercise that comfort zone muscle.
Sure.
So communication, that's inside your control. Certainly, if you're a team lead, you can subscribe. This whole episode you can play. We've got we're going to have a ton of these. There's lots of tools out there. If you're looking for communication recommendations, certainly get in the Facebook group. Jerry and I will be happy to. We could do a Facebook Live on that for your team for sure. Let's talk about people that you've seen that have maybe had. I think the fancy term for it these days is upskill or cross, where maybe they've been a PM tech, but then they've taken that next level. What are some of the traits you see there?
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of technicians that they learn how to communicate about one part of the job. And so they may say, you know, I love getting reviews. Like my kids love it when I get a review and they get to read it. Like Dad's kind of famous, right? And so they run with that skill. They upskill. And they just get all kind of reviews. Right. I know a guy that's really good at selling memberships. Okay. Really good at it, and he's rewarded for it through the company monetarily.
Most orgs do,
and man, they can put him on the calls that are 3-year-old air conditioners or 10-year-old air conditioners. He's going to sell a membership.
Right on.
And that customer is going to benefit from that, and the company's going to benefit from that, and then he benefits from that. He's happier at his job because they put him in a situation where
it's in his groove,
is in his comfort zone. And so find out what that thing is for you, and double down. Like for me, it's training. Like give me 50 people this afternoon, and I'll talk to them.
He will. I can vouch for that. The other thing I'm thinking of is like when I was in a team, I always looked for. So say I was good at. Well, this will be a stretch. Let's say I was good at
ping pong.
No, IAQ. I was good at IAQ, but you were good at memberships.
Okay.
I would look to get whatever skill you would do. I would grab the person after the break and say, "Hey, I saw that you did this, or that you just got this, or you got this review, or I've noticed the company always sends you on the difficult. How do you do that, and what do you do?" And you can learn from your team. And if you don't have a team, you can jump in a group and learn, like Jess was saying.
Hey, listen, if you have a dozen technicians.
Mm-hmm.
There's a person that's really good at selling memberships. There's somebody else that's really good at IEQ. And here's a really good training moment.
Mm-hmm.
Have a meeting and put that person in one corner and the other guy in the other corner, and have him talk to your team.
Split your teams up.
Yeah,
and rotate
for 5 minutes and rotate. And man, you know, if you wanna know something, you can do it. But if you really want to master it, you teach it.
Yep. Right.
And those two will get even better because now they're teaching it, and you'll find like
that's a different part of the brain.
Yeah, that's awesome.
One of the things I had learned is quite often technicians will say, or tradespeople will be like, "Hey, I want to go to this class to learn this thing," and I knew in Oregon they were like, "Yep," and then what they started to do, they continued to say yes, but they said, "Do me a favor. When you come back, the next service meeting, can you just take the first 5 or 10 minutes and share everything you knew?"
Yeah, that's
now,
your thing.
These two people will attend that class very differently. The one will be like, "That was cool. I learned some stuff," and the other is like, "Carry the two, add the one."
Yeah.
You know, and because you're present differently.
Yeah.
And you take that responsibility. And the good news is when you go through that second process, when you because of the way the brain's filing cabinet works, when you're retaining something in, it goes one place. But when you recall it, and then when you share it, and there's a time component to that, you'll retain it long term. And this is something teachers know. And so there's an opportunity. And so you're kind of getting to the next thing I want you to talk about is this idea of volunteering. If you want to grow in a skill, you could talk to and again, I'm going to focus on the individual, but you know, there's implications if you've got a large team, but go to your team lead, or if you're just a single truck, you can do this for a local VOTEC or technical institute. You can go volunteer, and you can say, "Hey, I'd love to teach aluminum brazing. Hey, I've got this really great way of thinking about low voltage electric," or "Hey, if you're a roofer and you flash a certain way," or whatever it is. You know, there's opportunities to share, and I can tell you the first time I did quote training, well, you can find some of my friends that were in that. It was not necessarily a great time. It was okay, but you better believe after the 100th time I've done that, I'm better. And so look for opportunities to volunteer and take control. And what I love about this is it's very much like the Toolshed. You're bringing more at the table than you're taking. Now, and as a team lead or owner, be open to that. You can help your team structure.
You're bringing more value to the marketplace, and the marketplace might be the place that you work.
Yep,
in that particular example.
Yep.
And so, you know, that's how I got into it. That's how I got into training. Like, I was in sales for 14 years.
Right.
You know, that's what I did, but I did training along the way.
Yep.
You know, sometimes I was like a salesman, sales trainer for a company. And, you know, I kind of did it along the way, but like after about 14 years of that, I had a moment where I said, I'm going to create my own job. And I became a trainer for a company full time, and grew from that, and then hired another trainer, and then hired another trainer, and then hired another trainer, and then now we got a department, but you had to take action.
So it's interesting, you know, we don't really talk about, but you're extremely qualified to talk about training. I mean, you've done it legit. You've traveled the country, training organizations, different trades. You've built training departments, and so the thing. Most people, you get it as well. Oh, I'd love to be a trainer. You know, getting the training job's one thing. Keeping the training job is another, because it's got to be good and it's got to show results.
Yeah.
You know?
It's got to change performance.
It has to.
That's what training's all about, and that's what the Toolshed's about.
Right.
Like, listen, the Toolshed is a training show.
Yep.
Right? It's a safe place you can come and you can learn some things, but it's a training show. But if it doesn't change the performance of your team, we've failed.
Right. Right.
And we're not going to fail. I'm not going to fail.
This is the huddle, and everything, the common thread, whether it's communication training, technical training, whether it's training as a stepping stone in your career, the one thing they all have in common is they demand that you take action, you take ownership. And again, if you're a company and you have the opportunity for some of your team members to do this, please create the space And if you ever want to know how to do the structure of allowing people to take, I know a company, first 5 minutes of every meeting, somebody says, tell me what you learned. And by the way, it's not always about work. Somebody talked about what they'd learned about the internet. Somebody talked about cooking, and like they're a grill master and on the weekend. And so it creates a learning, a culture. It's great. All of these things, the number one buzzword around employee retention is engagement. How do you get engagement? Well, here's the dirty little secret about engagement. You get engagement by being engaging. I know. more rocket surgery here at the Toolshed. That's it. So create these opportunities for engagement. Again, if it's just you and you're hitting a brick wall, either you're maybe you're just an individual contractor, or maybe there isn't that opportunity at your job, but it's still a good job. Look for opportunities. Join associations for your trade. Go to local VOTEC. Even if it's just mock interviewing the next generation. There's ways to contribute. It makes you better. A learning mind is a growing mind, and training is absolutely something you can control. Right.
And he knows a thing or two about it. Hey, reach out to us. We'll if you have questions about training, like just reach out to me.
He's got it.
And I'll help you.
All right. So listen, here's what I want you to do. Personal impact point of the day. I want you to take control of your career. Decide one thing that you're going to get better at today. Remember, everything you want is just right on the other side of your comfort zone. So it's a great opportunity. There's nothing stopping you. Not making a choice to do so is still making a choice to accept the status quo. So go ahead, do it. And come back to the Toolshed. Let us know how you did. Remember, the Toolshed is brought to you by a wonderful team at Schedule Engine, supported by the entire group at Emerson. We're so grateful. We're so lucky. We get to do this with you every day. I get to do it with my buddy, Jerry Rollins. Take us out.
Hey, thanks for coming by the Toolshed today. Look at my new notebook. How cool is that? All right. Hey, be good so you can do good. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate you. Love you.
tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.